Immediately, there were problems with the water. It was discolored, it tasted bad. We complained immediately, but nobody listened.
Why we been done like this? Why our children have to die?
It's like a scary movie. And I'm just waiting on to wake up from the scary movie and say, thank God it's over.
Flint, Michigan is the largest city and county seat of Genesee County, Michigan. It is located along the Flint River, 66 miles northwest of Detroit. It became a leading manufacturer of carriages and early on became known as Vehicle City. In 1908, William Crapo Durant formed General Motors in Flint. General Motors went on to become the largest, wealthiest corporation in the world. Flint was also the home of the famous Flint sit-down strike of 1936-37, which led to the founding of the powerful United Auto Workers Union, which led to the upsurge in the union movement throughout the United States. During World War I and II, General Motors was U.S. armament production headquarters. During and after each World War, there was a huge need for more labor power in the industrial plants of the North, and Flint, Michigan was no exception. A great part of this need for more labor was supplied by the great migrations of blacks from the South to the industrial centers like Flint. The influx of blacks in most urban areas was accompanied by white flight to the suburbs. From the 1960s on, the auto industry in Flint saw a steady decline. 11 auto plants were closed in Flint, and 11 plants were opened in Mexico, where workers were paid 11 cents an hour. Many of those who had the means to leave Flint left. With its now predominantly black population, Flint, Michigan went from being one of the richest cities per capita in the U.S. to being one of the poorest. Flint had a per capita crime rate 7 times higher than the national average. This capitalistic system has always upheld and supported that which produces profits and has abused, neglected, or rolled over any people, places, and things that do not produce profit.
They try to make our city look bad, and it's a worse city to live in, a murder capital. Y'all make it and turn it that way.
Using Flint as a glaring example, with crystal clarity, one can see the direct relationship between the removal of jobs and the rise of poverty and crime. A reduction in garbage pickups to save money gave Flint 50,000 more rats than people. In 2011, Republican Governor Rick Snyder appointed emergency managers, taking away all the democratic rights of the people of Flint. In April 2014, the powers that be, in order to save money, changed the water source in Flint from the treated Detroit Water and Sewerage Department water, which came from Lake Huron as well as the Detroit River, to water from the poisonous Flint River.
You can see this predominantly black community, and it shows that they don't care about the people there in more than one way. They're killing us here with lead, putting it in our bodies in more than one way. Right here, they're doing it with the bullets, and there they're doing it with the water. Chairman gave the call, and we rode. We was there with the Cub Caravan. When we got there in the Cub Caravan, was greeted by the people and was happy to see us to come down there and do something about it.
In Flint, Michigan, our film crew saw the devastation and many things that people need there other than water.
My name is Rodney Ellison. I am the pastor of the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church here in Flint, Michigan. I'm also the vice president of Concerned Pastors, who was on the trails of this from the beginning, trying to get the officials downtown not to pass this water bill that it be switched over from the Detroit water to the Flint water, because we know the citizens in Flint know the Flint River water is dirty water.
My name is Zeta Johnson. I am an associate professor of inner city studies at Northeastern Illinois University. I teach a course in contemporary issues in the inner city. And so one of the things that I like to focus on is environmental racism in an urban setting in order to give students a background just in thinking about what's happening in their setting, what's happening in the city as it relates to the environment. At the time I was teaching, the Flint water crisis was at the height of the news. And so we decided to focus on healthy water at the height and kind of how the Flint water crisis happened.
People are itching, they're breaking out with all kinds of diseases, hair falling out, water brown, some look like lemonade, some of the water looks like tea, some of it looks like mud. Then there's some areas when the water is so clear, you wouldn't even know that there's lead in the water.
There were a lot of bogus test results that were taken telling us that the water was okay, but we knew that something was wrong because people's hair was falling out, rashes were coming on their bodies, as well as dirty brown, black water, and also very bad odors coming from the water.
I actually had a crisis where I had a memory loss. I ended up going to a neurologist. They couldn't figure out what it was, but it was definitely something that changed my life. And as a result, I actually ended up being classified as totally disabled.
We start with the definition of environmental racism, which is the discrimination against groups when it comes to the environment or when it comes to their water, when it comes to the air that they breathe, when it comes to their food. We do a lot of stuff with food deserts to give students a closer look at how to become conscious and active in their communities.
I'm a mechanical engineer. I went to school at the Illinois Institute of Technology for my engineering degree. Worked at the City of Chicago Department of Water Management, so I know water purification very, very well. Also worked at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District for 5.5 years. So I know the wastewater and stormwater side extremely well. So water, you would say, is my profession.
One of the things that students were quite appalled by is that when you look at the demographics of where people live in proximity to hazardous waste, oftentimes it is poor groups and minority groups that are positioned close to hazardous waste. And these, like you talk about the air quality, these are factors that contribute to severe illness, cancer, bronchitis. These are factors that can change a child's life in terms of their health. And students were just knocked over that in 2016, you still have issues where racial groups are placed in these areas that are detrimental to their health.
You had pediatricians coming in making complaints because they saw that the rise in lead levels in babies.
I had a son, he was just being born then, so I was thinking, we boiling the water, giving to my child and everything. My son is 2 now. He don't understand it, and he been just in the water. And when you do the research on what lead does to the child, it lowers their IQ, it, weakens their bone, it tears down their immune system.
We talk about the importance of clean, fresh water just in your daily life, in your children's life. We look at the health issues related to the consumption of healthy water and just how important it is for our daily health.
I have a niece who has 7 children. She had 6 tested and 6 came back positive for lead.
The children, their hair literally falling out, so the rashes, it's just terrorizing. They hit, saying one woman to be expecting birth of your baby.
My wife, she was 3 months pregnant. She wasn't stressing or nothing and ended up having a miscarriage, losing the baby. I'm trying to, protect my family. I try to do everything to protect them, but when water's so simple and being contaminated and poisoned, it's hard to protect them from that.
Other dynamics that you got that must be dealt with. And again, that being that question, that basic necessity that of water.
Here in the city of Flint, FEMA has come in and they brought in water.
In what form is FEMA bringing in water?
They're bringing in only bottled water.
They saying it takes cases of water in a day for one person. If you want to drink, you want to bathe, you want to cook.
Defense captain of the Black Panther Party, Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, Mark Clark, one of his siblings, his brother, James Clark, being in Flint, he fell real ill. Ironically, they don't hit because of his health issues, had to move. And later on, he had actually passed in Ferguson, Missouri.
a place we refer to as Mike Brown Town. James Clark connected to attacks as well as resistance, whether it be literally, figuratively, or politically. That being Flint, Michigan, which is a place in which should be defined for historical reasons as one of the ground zeros that our people subjected to. And I say ground zeros because that was and is an act of terrorism that was implemented on our people.
I lost a 9-year-old nephew. He passed just by drinking sugar water, playing with my son and his cousin, and just got tired and needed something to drink and go in the house and get him a glass of tap water out the faucet, and mix some sugar with it like we used to do when we was little. But when he drunk it, it just, caused his heart to go into like a cardiac arrest, they say. And we had to rush him to the hospital and they couldn't revive him. So you just look at it like, and then they don't give you no answers. So you got all these questions just hanging out there in the cloud with no answers. And this happened in September 2014. Now it's February 2016. We still got no answers, just hanging out there. My brother-in-law, he called the hospital, left messages. They never returned his call, never said nothing. They ruled it out, no heart attack. And we know it couldn't have been a heart attack. He's 9 years old.
How could you allow water quality to be really the equivalent of hazardous waste? That was one of the things when the studies were done. The people said that in some cases, in homes, the water quality was equivalent to hazardous waste.
Chemical biological warfare, again, chemical biological warfare that was implemented in Flint. I know it sounds nice to say, lead in the water, but the brutal term, the term we must utilize, that chemical biological warfare that was waged on the community of Flint.
Consequently, because of all of these months of being poisoned, irreparable damage has been done into the lives, especially of children, slowing cognitive ability, etc., might make them more violent and so forth. So we will see the effects of this tragedy, and it's not an emergency, it's a disaster. We will see the effects of this disaster for decades to come.
You don't know how many generations this sickness will be passed on to your children, your grandchildren, from this water that the people are forced to drink.
That is gonna affect my son, his kids, for 5 generations now. You didn't basically curse my whole bloodline.
There were 2 scales. On one side was the health and welfare of the citizens of Flint. On the other scale was how we're gonna save some money. And unfortunately, saving money, budgetary concerns, took precedence over the health and welfare of the citizens of Flint.
Factories poured all kinds of toxic waste into that, dead bodies, all kinds of things are in that water. Why would we go to that kind of water knowing how dirty the water is?
It's a question of class and the alliance made in hell between the rich class and the U.S. government is a two-headed monster whose bloody jaws are ravenous for profits, and more profits.
The Flint River is very corrosive, and because that they didn't take the steps that were necessary, according to the EPA, the water should have been treated with phosphates. It did damage to the lead pipes, and the lead leached into the water, and consequently, our citizens from that point had been drinking poison water.
They came out with the boil water advisory. And they were like, well, you have to boil your water because there's bacteria in there. They never said nothing about the lead.
If it's got so much rust, then you can't add nothing to purify the water. It's just gone.
They knew that the water was corrosive for the Flint River. And all it cost was $100 a day to soften that water up, make sure that it was anti-corrosive. Well, they didn't do that. So for 3 months, they saved $9,000, but they wreaked havoc and cost the city over $1 billion, where they have to now replace over millions of miles of pipe, lead pipe, and put in brand new HDP or brand new ductile iron. You're talking about money, over $1 billion, that needs to be spent for the next 30 years to replace millions of miles of lead pipe.
It may be 3, 4, 5 years until we have some holes dug up and some new pipes are put in place, and then pipes in folks' houses which has affect their residents, they have to be yanked out as well. We have water that we can't even drink. We can't even shower with, yet we're being asked to continue to pay the bill.
The water company sent bills to the people threatening to cut the water off if they don't pay their bill. Your child got a rash on them, hair falling out, you sick, and then you gonna pay for it? You gonna pay for them to kill you?
Abuse, neglect, exploitation, and oppression of especially blacks, but browns, working class, and poor people of all nationalities are built into the capitalist system.
It's a lot of criminal activity going on in Flint. First of all, it's a crime that the water that gets there, people think it's getting to the people, it's being stored in like the fire department, you know? It's getting stored in churches. Some water, when the people went up there, some of the water had been there since last year, and the people weren't getting it.
At some point, it's going to be a food crisis, because there's been a lot of people that grow food here in their gardens, and therefore they won't be able to do that this year. They won't have to be able to form a crop. So they won't be, because they won't be able to use the water.
Just like they say in our community, we should eat healthy. It's a food desert. It's no stores to get fresh vegetables. There's plenty of fast food places though. There's plenty of greasy spoons though. There's plenty of 3-4 day old vegetables that are wilting that you're gonna pay more than you do for organic or fresh vegetables. All of those things. These conditions are consistently imposed on poor and oppressed people, on black people, wherever we are. And Flint, Michigan is a shining example of they don't care nothing about us.
We don't have supermarkets right here in the city of Flint. Residents have to go on the outskirts to do their grocery shopping. Or we have to go to the mom and pop stores, which is nothing wrong. Or we have to go to stores that are charging our residents high prices for things that we were able to go to a supermarket and get it for a cheaper price.
One of the things that I ask students offhand is, where do you shop? And where do you shop for groceries in proximity to where you live? And almost all of the students in my class say, I have to drive X number of miles in order to get lean meat, healthy fruits and vegetables. And when I ask them why, it's because those foods are not available to them in their own neighborhoods. And then when we look at the diseases, the rates of chronic disease like kidney failure, like cancer, like heart disease, and high blood pressure, those are really concentrated in the same areas where access to healthy food is limited.
My name is Andre Durrell. I'm a professional boxer. I have tons of friends and family here in Flint, Michigan, still to this day. And you know, they're all affected, man. I mean, it's pretty much a clean-cut breakdown of gentrification.
Our families here, we can't just pick up and go. Ones don't have it to leave like that.
This is the reality of black people wherever we are. There's a way to get us off the land. It's a way to kill us. It's a way to poison our bodies.
The whole revitalized Flint plan, they was pitched to us years ago when I first came back 6 years ago, how they gonna rebuild it, but they was trying to move us out of here because they already took the jobs, GM, they took the schools, then they took the grocery stores, but they seen how we keep adapting, and they don't like that, so they were like, well, we're gonna get rid of them by putting it in the water.
A lot of people say, well, they should leave, you know, like just like with Katrina. People can't just up and leave. Where are they gonna go? Where do they have to go?
They was trying to build this city into a college town and push us out. No, we're not going nowhere. We staying here and trying to build it back up.
The will of people that are strong, they know that it's a war on them, and they don't want to just run away. A lot of people just tell them to leave for the land grabbing situation that they're trying to do over there. Just want them to know that we stand with them in solidarity. We got their back like a backpack and chest like a bulletproof vest.
I read prior to the POCC doing the Cub Caravan, going up to Flint, taking the water, that the week before they went up there, troops. They sent the troops up there to distribute the water. These same troops, the week before they went up there, these troops in Flint were doing recon drills. They were bombing certain areas of Flint, practicing. These are the same troops that are in Flint that are passing out the water to the people.
The whole dynamics of this whole Flint, we must go back and look and look at and put in the correct context the role of every dynamic. You know what I'm saying? The emergency the entities that the American government says is supposed to come and provide us assistance. You know how the stage was set. You know, similar to that of New Orleans. Prior to it just didn't happen overnight in regards to the levees being blown up. Just didn't happen overnight. There was the administration of former Mayor Ray Nagin. You know what I'm saying? How different officials were given information to get their families out. Out of New Orleans. We look at the poster boards and the placards. They were saying the construction agencies that could directly connected to the Halliburtons, who were directly connected to Dick Cheney, the former U.S. The Vice President of the United States under the tenure of George Bush. These are the dynamics you have to go back and look and say, wait a minute, this goes in any dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times it's easy to have a reactionary response, look at the usual suspects. Talk about the assassinations of Chairman Fred Defense Captain Mark Clark. Yes, definitely placed the tail on the pig. The J. Edgar Hoovers and likes, the Mayor Daley's and likes. However, you must also look at the different Negroes who are complicit with this crime. You follow what I'm saying? So it's not just simplistic just to say, okay, this the white man. You know what I'm saying? Also, we must be armed with a politic to say what forces, what entities were complicit to set a climate. You know what I'm saying? For these American gangsters and banksters to do what they do. You dig? I have an old saying, we have a saying with the Black Panther Party Cubs is that the Portuguese could have never kidnapped me had it not been without the assistance of some African kings. And this is a part of history that we don't want to look at, but it must be looked at, it must be acknowledged.
Students were appalled to see that these primarily African American groups were subjected to this awful quality of water, and public authorities knew what was happening and did absolutely nothing.
There was a failure of government on all three levels. Failure on the state level, failure on the federal level, failure on the local level. What occurred there is criminal. What happened is when they switched over from the Detroit water system to the Flint River, that water, that corrosive water, filtered through all the entire pipes all over Flint. Now, 90% of Flint's infrastructure, water infrastructure, is made out of lead. So all that lead leached into the water. It went to all the people's homes, went to their drinking water supply, went into their bath water, everywhere.
The governor of our state set what we call an emergency manager. When an emergency manager comes in, the local democracy goes out the window. The mayor has no power, the city council has no power. They have carte blanche to do whatever they want to do. And so ultimately, the decision has to be placed upon the governor because he is the one who sent the emergency manager. When you don't accept your obligation to protect the people that you have been elected to serve, this is what can happen.
The emergency manager played a huge part in this situation that we're in now, this disaster that we're in now.
The Nuremberg trial in Nazi Germany, they just didn't call Adolf Hitler. They called a lot of people who were complicit with those crimes.
Rick Snyder and beyond. This doesn't start with one government official. This is a whole team of people who set this up.
Those of us who live in the city of Flint, ultimately it has to come down to the one who's in control, who is the governor, Rick Snyder. Although he apologized, being apologetic won't fix Flint. He is the one that brought in the emergency managers. In fact, we had three emergency managers within a 4 or 5 year span.
I would place the blame straight at the steps of the governor of the state of Michigan. They knew about this. They did nothing. They sat on it. the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, Jeff Wright at the Genesee County Drain Commission. They were all in a scheme to create this new pipeline system, and somehow, supposedly, it was supposed to save us residents money, but that was just part of the scheme to basically take away the rights of us citizens here in Flint, Michigan.
I don't think it was an accident.
Governor Snyder has got to go. He has to be arrested. They need to get him ASAP. And he's firing different people, but all I have to ask is, what about himself?
In this predominantly black area, where citizens, we don't even have a grocery store, we don't even have a place to go and shop, that he would come here and do this travesty to our city.
The people that they had testing the water, these are government officials now. The people they had testing the water failed. And then on the state level, they didn't even check. They didn't even verify that the water was being safe.
The corporations that were there, they instructed their employees to drink bottled water.
General Motors, of all companies, the water, they were saying that the water was too corrosive for their car parts. Well, it's too corrosive for their car parts. How's it good for the people?
These auto companies and those companies up there, they were telling their employees to drink bottled water, not to drink the faucet water, the running water.
EPA failed too. The federal government failed. That's why the regional director for the EPA resigned.
We need to be made whole. If not but for the actions of this governor, of their state Department of Environmental Quality, of his emergency managers, none of this would have happened. They took away the rights of the citizens here, our city council, our duly elected mayors. They took away all of our rights, and they made us drink toxic water for 2 years, and I'm mad about it.
A lot of government officials that's involved with this situation should be fired, let alone put in jail.
The people should get reparations from this criminal attack on them. The businesses should be held responsible.
It's definitely criminal, it's wrong, it's degrading, and it just goes to show how conniving, how wrong, and how corrupt the government is.
This not just gonna happen here in Flint. This is gonna go on everywhere. Flint is just the start of it. Right now, this about to happen everywhere, and they don't want to bring it up right now because they know it's gonna get out of hand. And then if it do, they gonna martial laws. That's when it's gonna be really all-out war against our own government.
We're in Lansing, Illinois. Okay, it's a part of Cook County. The city of Chicago is a part of Cook County too. And the piping here is well over 100 years old. It's made out of wood, made out of brick, made out of clay, made out of lead. So we have lead piping here as well. Now, we're fortunate enough where we're getting our water supply from the cleanest supply on earth, Lake Michigan. However, if our politicians ever decide to switch that water over to the Chicago River, well, we're going to see a Flint here today. The last time these pipes ever saw the day of light, was when Abraham Lincoln was alive.
Who's to blame for what's going on in Flint right now?
The government, the government, the government. The government, the government, the government, the government. I can't say it enough.
This all came from a buttload of government officials, and we're in the situation that we're in now. Why? Because we're the second poorest city in the United States.
The government should be here, and the business that this government bails out when they're in crisis should be held accountable, should face criminal charges.
Governor Rick Snyder's and back the senators like Benton Harbor, you notice in Benton Harbor, Michigan, I also want to say Free Reverend Pickney, political prisoners, Benton Harbor, Michigan. That they'll put these people in place real quick. These to dismiss the role of the city council, whatever. They can be the comptroller, whatever term they use in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Look at the timing. So why all of a sudden this certain dynamic change where there has got to be a vote, a city council vote? We have one person, you know what I'm saying? They can give this, and they're disposable. Use this person, say, okay, the scapegoat. You know what I'm saying? See, no, all of the individuals, you know what I'm saying, from Governor Rick Snyder all the way down to those who knew about this and not just exposed this to the various entities that benefited. Because as a criminal psychologist said, the first thing you must look for on a crime scene is that who benefited. The question comes up about, you know, in many cases people say, well, you know, something about our community in particular, whether we talk about the case of Dylan Roof, the young white boy who went on the shooting rampage up in the church in South Carolina, whether we talking about the exposure of who all was complicit in the murder of Laquan McDonald, Ronald Johnson, Kia Boyd, those prisoners who were tortured by the infamous Lieutenant John Burge, then Cook County State's Attorney Richard Daley. It's automatically responsible, along with our community in particular. We must move on. You know, let's forgive and let's continue to move on. Something that many other communities don't subscribe to. Whether we talk about the Nuremberg trials in Nazi Germany, when people call it now the different, not only the Führer Adolf Hitler, but the various SS soldiers, the SA soldiers, the role they played in Auschwitz, Dachau, so on and so forth. They were even to this day tracing down 85-year-old German soldiers in the hospital on their deathbed say, no, you committed a crime. We have to see you. You know what I'm saying? You have to pay for this crime. So this is something that's something that's told to the black community in particular. Just forgive and move on. However, in the interest of servants of people and servants of history, it must be objectively laid out. I know a lot of people say, oh, here come Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. and the Black Panther Party Cubs, always blaming the white man and the government. And we do. And however, it's not limited to that. We say we expose and call the question not only of Uncle Sam, but of Sambo, the Gringo and the Negro, the Rockefellers and the Rockefellers. This is something it must be laid out. The Hiroshima, that bomb, that that was dropped on our people down there. It must be kept and correlated in the same conversations of that of May 13, 1985, which the U.S. government dropped a bomb on, Osage Avenue, Philadelphia. Must be, correlated to the conversations we talk about the massacre on Monroe, December the 4th, 1969, which the U.S. government came in and assassinated Chairman Fred, defense head Lamar Clark. Must be correlated to what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Must be correlated to what's happening right now today in the city of Chicago, which we refer to as Chirac, being that it's a war zone. This is something that must be kept in the context of the long wage and continuous war that has been waged on our people. Those dates should be defined as September 11 stories in our communities. It's terrorizing. I'm talking about African people in the Pacific, but colonized people in general, under the auspices or the front of some sort of war on drugs or war on guns or war on gangs. But the real deal is it is war on the people. And the situation is become more, it's being made more and more clear. A lot of people try to, what we refer to as engage in the sidetracking of the slave. Well, was this, in other words, was Rodney King, was he speeding or not when LAPD beat him down? Or was this person in the gang or not when the police locked him up? Or were these people, what legal issues were they dealing with when they were displaced out of their homes up at the State Street, the projects, the public housing in Chicago? I mean, we are forced to come to grips. Flint, Michigan, other places where this is something that's impacting every aspect of our community. Regardless what church you go to or don't go to, what school you went to or don't go to, what street organizations you may be affiliated with. And we know that the state will continue its attempts to bring in those state-sanctioned spokespersons, these bogus organizations, abstract artists who will come out with the usual tactic of criminalizing the people. Well, did this person do this? And we should eat healthy and so on and so forth, and say it in an abstract way, negating the actual contradictions. The fact, the fact that it's not by coincidence or happenstance. It was exposed in Detroit, Michigan, where the community was deprived of water. And people just said, well, the people not paying their water bills. And it was further exposed that the baseball teams, the football stadiums, who were in debt they were given all type of passes and say, okay, we want incentives to say you still will be supplied the water. And we've seen case after case, whether we're talking about New Orleans, in response to Hurricane America. Now, Hurricane Katrina, we say Katrina ain't killed nobody. The American government did. Let's give credit where credit is due. Case after case, this system is displayed to us that its priorities is the property over people. You know what I'm saying? We take a position that the people are our priorities. You know, and we go, it's not a question with well, maybe the government don't know. This is a system that has policies. If you go in a restaurant, Burger King or McDonald's, and you order a Whopper or a hamburger, and you say you don't want no tomatoes on it, and the worker accidentally puts tomatoes on it, they have to throw that hamburger away. They can't give that burger to nobody, to the next customer. They can't give that burger to you free. It's a policy. They have to throw that. These are policies that the police must come through our communities and degrade us. This is a policy. They had to put lead inside the water. They had options. You're talking about the whole context with Michigan, right by the lake, the major access to water. So it's a concerted effort. See, no, we know we could do this, but we're gonna make a concerted effort. You know, so this is they can take these. They talk the school to prison pipeline. These children can be educated. No, there's a concerted effort. You know what I'm saying? To say we're gonna set the stage for these young brothers and sisters to be corralled to the concentration camp. Adolf Hitler had options, you know what I'm saying? It was a position of Nazi Germany. So we're gonna place people inside the gas chamber. There's a concerted effort. We're gonna just say during the era of chattel slavery, there was and there is a concerted effort to wipe us out.
A little thing as simple as the people being over to take over and demand water. A basic thing gives the people the strength, the energy to stand up and fight back. It'll give the people the energy to say, I don't have to get this water from this occupying army. It's different when people help the people than when the state helping the people.
Not only send water, but send baby wipes. The babies can't even be cleaned by the water. Send baby milk.
The best thing is for people to come together and start working on the crisis that they can unite on that. I don't care what religion they are, they aren't, what school they go to, what block they live on, or they don't live on. They can unite on this water piece and come together and demanding a pipeline to fresh water. The government should have the responsibility and the businesses to fund it. And the people should be the inspectors of it, because they could build new and put poison in it. They should be able to control where the water go and say where it go. The people have to be the ones that have the input, the ones that are most affected by this crisis, not some expert that comes in and is commissioned to do a study, but the people that's on the ground that's suffering from this tragedy coming together. And you do that by letting the people get involving the people in their own struggle for liberation and freedom. And then they begin to see this government as not this omnipotent God.
I believe they trying to genocide us.
The people who see and understand this must unite all who can be united to overturn a system that is predicated on profit and build one that is predicated on the needs, wants, and desires of the vast majority of humanity.
Till the people come together and fight back. And I don't mean everybody get up tomorrow morning and go outside, everybody wearing a dark blue suit and the same shoes. I don't mean that kind of, but we can unite on this issue of water and begin to fight back. And it gets the people the ability to not feel that this government is omnipotent, all powerful. When they begin to feel that they can do something about the conditions that we're living in, then they could stand up straight. People in California talking about collecting water to send up for the Cubs to take to Flint. I mean, how wonderful is that? Other people are coming to Chicago to take water up. There are stores that are stocking water to go up because when POCC go, it's getting to the people. I really appreciate the vision of Chairman Fred to do the Cub Caravan and to get the water to the people, not just up there to get the water where it could be stored to next year, but get out and talk to the people Chair say, call Brother Ray Baker. This got to be documented. Movement photographer. And him and Cortez went there, documented it. When they came back, I talked to our movement photographer, Brother Ray. He was on cloud 1,000, you know, from the energy of the people. You could just feel it, just on the telephone. Brother Gio, the magnificent job that he did up there, taking charge. The people that just came together and went up there, and it's always the people that have the least that get them more. We see this over and over and over again in the midst of crisis, and it's a beautiful thing.
I want to definitely extend revolutionary appreciations to my Cubs, the Black Panther Party Cubs. We don't have the resources. We got the forces, we ain't got the resources. We need assistance with resources. In other words, in plain layman terms, we ain't got the money for the van, so on and so forth. Thank the different for the Reverend Anthony Williams and others, those who help, you know, with that role of the caravan, the Black Panther Party Club caravan, as well as other propagandists, those who help, who document this here. Cortez, Ray Baker, Holly, and others. And I want to say this, this is so important to document this, because again, we say let's make history, let's take history, let's tape history. Because believe me, just like in the case of rock and roll or any other music genre or our movements, it's going to be a consistent history to wipe us out. You know what I'm saying? We talk about the pyramids. People say, well, it had to be some Martians or something. It couldn't have been no Africans done the pyramids. We talk the Free Breakfast Program. Well, it had to be somebody else. The Black Panther Party Club caravan to go down there on its own terms. And that's important, and we stress that. So I want to stress that this delegation, let the record reflect that I physically wasn't there. I was there. I was on the West Coast, addressing other campaigns. And I want to say this not only to the community, to the state, because this is important for my security. To be very clear that even if that this taking me out ain't gonna do the thing. We, you know what I'm saying, we our comrade Gio and other forces, you know what I'm saying, get out right there in Flint, Michigan, and we everywhere. The Black Panther Party Cubs are everywhere. You may say, well, I didn't see you there. Maybe not physically, but you best believe we are armed with a politics that transcends gender, generational, and geographical lines. The Black Panther Party Cubs are coming. We've been there. We're coming back again. We are here. We say keep your heads up, eyes open, fists clenched. We say to the community of Flint, Michigan. We say to the community in general, all over the world. We got your back like a backpack and your chest like a bulletproof vest.
We need justice. We want answers. We need this governor to go. We need him prosecuted. Everybody who has something to do with it needs to be prosecuted, because they basically committed murder. I look at it by them breaking the levee on that water, whatever they did, that's like pulling the trigger on the gun. You committed murder.
I think we need to organize the people, and as long as we get the people organized and properly politicize them about what's going on, and unify people, the ones who with us, who want change, and that's the only way we can do it. We can't do nothing without the people. As long as we got the people, anything is possible.
It is clear that the people must cast aside illusions and prepare for revolution.
Without the people, revolution is impossible, which I call free them all.
Power to the people.
Breathe, I can't drink, man. These motherfuckers trying to get rid of me.
Shout out to the Dayton family, yo.
Now you see,
real talk.
if it ain't enough that in Chirac that these motherfuckers been putting me in lid and laying down Laquan McDonald and a whole bunch of more motherfuckers face down on the ground. 16 shots.
most of which the pigs put in his back. Aiding to the same entity that they used to get rid of me in New Orleans, August 29, 2005, was something so beautiful as water was exploited. And after them levees was blown, and left an aftermath, for lack of better terms, a state-sanctioned bloodbath, with a bunch of bandit builders and red X's on the doors. Dirty water, blood, stench, shit, and piss, and a ton of black bloated bodies floating. Now, fast forward to the fact that these murder motherfuckers took the same source that they used before like a double-edged sword. Whether it be locking me up, laying me down, or drowning me out. To this here shit in which I need to hip y'all here too. What these pigs been doing and did all over the world, but right now since I got y'all attention, I'm speaking in particular that of Flint, Michigan. Governor Rick Snyder and a whole bunch of more American gangsters done laced more lead in the water to knock out a whole bunch of motherfucking horses, boars, and buffaloes.
The water's so messed up when you take a bath, your itch is scratching, you can't drink it. We don't even know if the water filters are working right these days. So I mean, it's like a push and tug with everything. So I just tell everybody to be careful about what you're doing. I don't know if it's just because they made up their mind to make a dumb decision, or better yet, they need to make up their mind and make a right decision.
So what do you think should be done about it overall?
Switch it as fast as you can and stop hurting us.
Who do you think is to blame?
I really can't say about the political part of it. All I know is whoever started it, they need to finish it.
Have you ever seen, or do you know people who suffered directly in terms of damage to their body, their hair, their life?
Yeah, mostly it's our children.
Talk about it.
Well, all I know is there's been 200 kids, as far as I saw on the news, that has lead poisoning, and they're trying to do something about that. And as far as the adults, yeah, we have that too. So we're getting sent to the hospital just as well. It's a big problem, big problem.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, man. Be strong, man. We fighting for you in Chicago, man. We came out here and brought a whole lot of water, a whole bunch of water, you know. Okay. That's why we came. We fighting for revolution, man. Overthrow these motherfuckers. Then we know we ain't got to fool with them no more.
Yeah,
no sense at all, man. Hey, be strong, man.
Yeah, it's like they trying to kill us or something.
They are.
You know?
They are trying to kill us.
Yeah.
Word. That's why we got to fight back, man.
Right now, since I got y'all attention, I'm speaking in particular that of Flint, Michigan. Governor Rick Snyder and a whole bunch of more American gangsters done laced more lead in the water to knock out a whole bunch of motherfucking horses, boars, and buffaloes. You see, I can't drink it. It's embarrassing to be dividing up 12 bottles of water to 2 households, and it's degrading watching your baby's hair fall out before she's even get 4 years old. And it's demeaning seeing grown men scratching their motherfucking backs, attempting to relieve rashes that the lead-laced ass water left intact. Now I want you to imagine being forced to drink water more orange than Tang and Gatorade. Even sipping more shit that's more deadlier than going up against the motherfucking U.S. Army Brigade. You see 10, 20, 30 years from motherfucking now, in which I doubt if I'll even be around. You'll still be seeing and not believing the after effects from my baby's bodies and brains to an entire community converted to cadavers and real deal episodes of The Walking Dead. I can't drink this shit.